In this video, I'm going to be helping you with your chipping, and I'm going to be using a really cool training aid to emphasize some of the faults that you might be making with your chipping, but also give you a really good visual on how you can improve your chipping through this technique that I'm going to be teaching you. Also, massive thank you to GeForce for sending me this out, because I do coach with it. If you ever had a lesson from me, a chipping lesson specifically, this would have been your nemesis at the start, but your best friend at the end, because you'll have learned how to use it and how to get the most from it. So if you're that golfer that whips the club too much on the inside, your chances are we're going to find that bunker on the right hand side or thin it over the other side of the green. So not understanding how the mechanics of the swing work, this is the perfect training aid. As you've seen then, as I get the club and pull it more around my body, you'll notice the club head moving more in that direction. So it starts to move even further round. And actually, very, very easy to give it the old shank. If I work the club on the correct angle and work the club more up and down, I have much better control of the club head. Also, if I work it on a nice tempo, I'm able to stabilize the face a lot better as well. For majority of golfers that I see, whip the club too much on the inside. And this generally happens because the trail hand becomes a little bit too passive, or it starts to work in that direction. So if I was to put the club up into the straight ahead of me, your wrists work in that direction, which on the takeaway pushes the club more behind. If your wrists only worked up vertical, then you would be a really, really steep golfer. But what we're looking at trying to do is work the club up on that 45-degree angle. And that's how we're going to effectively get this takeaway working correctly to help you with your chipping. If you like what you see from GeForce Golf, the link is in the description below. Excellent, excellent training aid. I've used it for many, many years already. It's a fantastic way of understanding how the swing works and how it kind of works with your body's mechanics as you're making the golf swing. And also, to be honest, it's brutally honest. You swing it poorly, you're going to get some pretty horrendous results. And then when you start moving the club better, you will get the results that you deserve from a better movement. So it's a brutally honest training aid, and that's what you need to help you improve your game. Also, just a quick sidebar, if you are new to the channel, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Loads of content coming up. I'm very excited, which is weird because I'm never excited about the winter, but I am this year because we've got loads coming, so stay tuned. Right, let's see what this is all about. So as I put this out right in front of my stomach, we're not going vertical and we're absolutely not going horizontal. We're putting this club up on a 45-degree angle. And if I just pull back into setup, look where that position gets me on takeaway. So if I move the club on that 45-degree angle, I'm going to have much better control of the club head. And when I get over the golf ball, if I'm working the angle correctly, just use the body and get through, I can get a nice strike. Probably should have aimed. So obviously a bit more of a pitch shot rather than a chip shot, obviously because of the length of the swing. But obviously you can use this on a much shorter shot too. When golfers use that wrist in the wrong angle, very easy to pull this club too far behind the body. And the big thing with this sort of training aid is it's so exaggerated. You start off using this, you're probably going to hate it. And I think you've got to not necessarily persevere, but you've got to really commit to the changes that you need to make in order to get on with this. If you can get on with this, your chipping and your movement patterns are going to be really, really solid. So once again, as I take this club away, out in front of me, up 45 degrees, if I just pull that down to the ground and turn into my impact position, it's pretty much where I want to be, isn't it? Also, if I go up 45 degrees, and I just bring that club into that takeaway position, because I'm working the club more up and down, I've got more control of the head relative to shaft. If I've got the club head working behind the shaft, then it's much more difficult. It's also more difficult for me to impart the forces on the golf swing in the correct way, because I've got my arms and my body trying to work the club more up and down as I rotate my body around, but I'm going to have my hands whipping the club from side to side in relation. So as I've got my arms going up, my body rotating, then my hand's going sideways, it's going to be really, really difficult to control the actual movement of the swing. And I think when you listen to it like that as well, it makes sense, doesn't it? If I have my hands working on the 45-degree angle, that if you look at my posture, that's how that's rotating, then the golf swing plane, give or take, is around that 45-degree angle as well. So I'm creating an arc that's a 45-degree arc around my body, and my hands are moving on that 45-degree arc as well. That's why when we're using the pressure points in the swing and maintaining the correct rotation and imparting all the correct forces on this instrument, then it's going to be a lot easier to control the actual swing. If I've got my body kind of rotating around that 45-degree axis, but my hands pushing the club 90 degrees behind my body, there's such a conflict of angles. That's how we get inconsistent. And that's why this is actually so good. I've just been marrying the whole movement patterns up together and being able to produce some pretty good shots, if I do say so myself. So understanding how the swing works, and hopefully you've done that there. If when you take your setup and you go into, give or take, 45 degrees, you're rotating the golf club around that 45-degree arc around your body as a full swing. You're still making the same movement on a chip and a pitch movement pattern as well. But if you move your hands on a different angle, that's where this shaft comes into its own, because it really lets you know that you're going to be moving this club in completely the wrong way. If you move it up and down on that 45-degree angle, then I've got a much better, much clearer feeling, and I've got the club under control a lot more, so I can commit to my swing. But the first thing you've got to do is make sure that you understand the angle in which I want to try and move the golf club. And as I do that, you might just see there my trail arm is bending as I do it, because again, it's really key that we're not trying to be super wide and keep arms straight when we're chipping and pitching. There is going to be that little bit of a bend in that trail elbow. So as you bring the club up and down from that position, you're going to be able to once again control the club head, because you're really controlling the shaft nicely. And again, that's where the control element of this tip video is vitally important. 45 degrees posture, understanding that your swing arc around your body's at 45 degrees, understanding how to work the golf club with your wrist angles at that 45-degree angle. Marry the two up with your posture, your arc, and now your wrist angles, and you've got full control of the club. Then it just takes quite a lot of practice because it's brand new, but you will become a much better all-round chipper and pitcher. But also, to be honest, you bring that all the way up to your driver, being able to impart the correct movement patterns on your driver with the rotational axes of your body, with the positioning of your club and the understanding of how your hands work. You're going to be an all-round better golfer. Give it a try, guys. Drop me a comment in the section down below. Massive thank you to G-Force Golf. The link to their website is in the description below. It's been a pretty revolutionary, you may have seen me do a video on this before, it's been a very revolutionary training aid that I use a lot to help players understand and get better at the ball striking and understand the mechanics of the golf swing a little bit more as well. So huge thanks to them for sending this out. Like, subscribe to the video, and I'll see you next time.